This is a video about why you should be angry, outraged, and really pissed off with the world, whilst at the same time feeling bad about yourself, feeling like you're not good enough, that you got to compare yourself to everybody else, who of course are better than you. And then by the end of the video, you should be getting ready to write a letter to your MP or someone like that, because you're just so frustrated. Oh wait, hang on. It's about the opposite of all that. It's about how you live in a world that is increasingly designed to piss you off and make you feel all of those feelings that I just talked about. It's about how social media and the internet in general has become driven by algorithms that play on your emotional wounds and your ego and keep selling your ego back to you. So if you want to know how to break the cycle and to become aware of what's going on in the first place, keep watching. Here's a big pile of rocks, which could be extremely useful if you get very outraged by this video and start flinging rocks at people. If you've ever used social media or even YouTube, then odds are you're already aware of what I'm talking about, because the algorithm is designed to keep you engaged. Algorithms are designed to do two things: take your time, as much of it as possible, and to get you to interact or engage. And the easiest way for it to do that is to arouse you emotionally, which means to press your buttons in some way, shape or form. And so inevitably, when you log on to Twitter or you start scrolling through short form content, it's going to start poking you. It's going to start either selling your ego back to you, or it's going to try and enrage you in some way so that you keep feeding your time, energy and attention into the ego vortex that gets opened up. If we're not aware of this, we just end up doom scrolling endlessly, getting completely outraged about the state of the world and the state of ourselves, and thinking that what we've been fed is reality itself, and it just stops us from growing real. One of the most simple ways for them to get your time and engagement, or time and interaction, is to use rage bait. Rage bait is a kind of content that's made by all these grifters out there that are trying to wind you up. And the reason that they put rage bait out there is because it's the simplest, easiest way to get people's attention. Most people are running around being shame driven. They're identifying with a version of themselves, the ego, that gives them a sense of control and safety in the world. And it's a way of hiding all of their unresolved emotional stuff, which for the average person who lives a life of quiet desperation, just trying to get on with it, is shame. When you poke shame, it turns into rage. And so if you can rage bait someone, you're tapping into the deepest level of their relationship with themselves and their insecurity. And then they're going to keep investing time, and they're going to keep engaging, and they're going to keep coming back, because it becomes addictive. Anger and rage are addictive, and that's why there's so much rage bait online. Here's another big pile of rocks that I've stacked up behind me in preparation for all my outrage. Not really, it was already here, but whatever. There are so many things to be angry about in the world, but if you don't do something with your anger and you just keep returning to the things that make you angry, then all you're really doing is winding yourself up. And most content that's about poking people's underlying shame and turning it into rage is doing exactly that. It's just reminding them of the things they already suspect without offering any real solutions. So I just wanted to say that before I start breaking down the rage bait, because I'm not saying we shouldn't ever get angry. Angry is a healthy emotion. It's the dignity emotion. It protects our boundaries. But rage bait is just making people angry over and over again in an addictive way where nothing ever changes. I just kicked down this wall in a fit of rage. Again, not really. There are 4 main types of rage bait that people need to be aware of, so we can not feed into these cycles of getting wound up by the algorithm. The first one is obvious. It's anger and outrage. People are going to give you stories, they're going to say things that may have some truth to them, but they're just gonna frame it in such a way that you should be completely worked up and ready to smash up the furniture about it. It's probably going to be about something you care about, like your culture or your family or yourself and all the hard work you've done, and how it's not going to pay off because of some politician or whatever, which of course is all things that happen. But they're just going to keep poking the sleeping bear, trying to wake you up so you'll go watch more of their content. The second thing is fear and insecurity, and really all of these are linked to shame, because all of our underlying anger and fear and insecurity and things like that are linked to shame that we haven't faced yet, and our lack of belief in ourselves and life. But anyway, the second one is fear. Fear for yourself, your safety, your survival. Fear for your family. Fear that your country is going to be totally overtaken, which could happen. Fear about all kinds of things. But again, they're not going to offer any solutions for dealing with the fear. They just want you to be emotionally aroused and in that state of fear, so that you keep returning to their content and just reinforcing the fear that you start to identify with. The third one is moral indignation. They're going to show you something, like somebody who has gone against certain values or whatever. They're going to show you something that's going to morally outrage you, and so you're going to get wound up about that. You're going to feel morally superior. That's addictive. It helps to deal with the shame, and then you can feel smug for a while before you go back to being outraged and fearful. And the fourth and final one is that they're going to use the us them. They're going to do this mainly for marketing reasons. They create a little tribe around themselves, and you're either in or you're out. Look around you, you're going to see us them mentality reinforced all over the place, and it's not necessarily because it's real, it's because it's a marketing gimmick for grifters who want you to be wound up and outraged, so they keep getting your time and interaction. When you're fearful, outraged, morally indignant, or buying into this us them mentality, you're going to leave comments, you're going to say things, you're going to recommend the content and share it. That's what they want you to do. It's all about feeding into that algorithm and the time and interaction that they're going to suck from you, so you stay in that ego vortex and stop growing real. One of the reasons that this kind of rage bait content winds people up so much is because it affects the nervous system. And the nervous system can't tell the difference between an imagined threat and a real threat that's actually going to affect us in a physical way, where it's physically dangerous. When we get wound up in this way, told that our survival is at threat, our identities are at threat, whatever else is at threat, or that we should be outraged, and that it's us versus them, well, our nervous system starts to go into fight or flight mode. And when it goes into fight or flight mode, a few things happen. The first thing is that we become really focused in a small way on whatever's in front of us, and so we don't think in a rational way about what we've been presented with. Once that's happened, then we just end up feeling like we need to take some kind of impulsive action. We become impulsive, which is why people end up leaving all these angry comments or sharing it or whatever it is, sharing the content or whatever it is. And finally we end up feeling that we need to defend our identity, because the reason we get so worked up is because ultimately of the shame I was talking about. Shame always leads to the ego, and somehow whatever content we're getting rage bitten by is threatening our sense of identity, or the point of view that we've created of the world that's an extension of that identity. And then we go into ego defense mode, and once that happens, because the nervous system is in fight or flight, which exacerbates the ego, then all hell breaks loose. That furniture gets smashed up, the rocks get thrown, and we just put ourselves in these cycles of becoming more and more unreal, watching this bullshit that isn't serving us or the world really in any meaningful way, shape or form. A related idea here is the idea that the algorithm knows that human beings are shame driven in general, and so the outrage and all the stuff I've been talking about is a symptom of that underlying shame, like I keep saying. But in some cases, if you look around, the algorithm's literally just going to show you content that reinforces the shame. It's going to show you content, especially on social media, that's going to make you compare yourself to other people. people that you think are better than you because your shame's telling you you're not good enough. It's going to reinforce content that helps you to believe what your ego is telling you need to believe about yourself and the world, instead of helping you break through those beliefs and grow real. It's going to show you a world where all of your aspirations and the dreams that you've come up with, not because they're real, but because you're trying to compensate for that underlying shame, are attainable. And so it's just going to sell you all this nonsense and all this bullshit that's going to hold you back from accepting yourself, integrating the shadow self, which is always hiding behind the ego, which arises from the shame, and becoming real, building a foundation of truth in your life, instead of just playing these hamster wheel scripts and then going on the internet and seeing the same thing parroted back to you to keep you stuck. Here's another wall that I've kicked to smithereens because talking about all this stuff, I've managed to work myself up, send myself into a rage. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go, I don't know. In short, a lot of social media content and YouTube content, or just internet content in general, the news, whatever it is that you're looking at, is designed to reinforce your fragmentation, the inner split from your realness, your true self, that has arisen because of underlying shame that you picked up somewhere along the line. This is why so much of this content is sending people into nervous system dysregulation, like we talked about. It's making their minds reactive instead of helping them get to a place of presence where they can respond to life and be real. And it's reinforcing the identity, the unreal identity, the ego that has arisen because of underlying shame. And so the long and short of all of this is that rage bait and any shame poking content online is not helping you. And shame poking content includes the kind of content that's making you think all of the goals and aspirations you've set for yourself to try and compensate for the shame instead of dissolving it are real. Basically, we need to learn to tell the difference. Is this winding up our nervous system, or is it actually helping us? Maybe the way I'm going on about all this is ironically winding up your nervous system. Hopefully not, because I'm just trying to make you aware of this stuff. But either way, we need to be aware so we can make a choice and then do something real instead of getting caught up in the hamster wheel of unreality and all the things we don't really want from life. Of course, I'm mainly focused on rage bait in this video, but another related thing here that I just want to expand on a little more is all of this content that helps you to reinforce your own resistance to life and your resistance to reality. If we don't face life and reality, we're never going to have a foundation of acceptance on which to build our lives in a real way, and we'll always feel like something's missing because we'll always be in the void. The void is the thing that opens up when you're driven by shame and you live life through the ego. So there's so much content out there that is dressed up as healing or spirituality or whatever word you want to use, but really it's just emotional bypassing. It's giving people a reason not to look at their stuff and to externalize it instead by saying that everybody else is a narcissist or whatever it is, and so they don't look at their own emotions. They keep resisting and they stop growing. Another form of this kind of content is that there's so much stuff out there, like I said, that sells your ego back to you. It seems positive when you're watching it, but really all it's doing is telling you that what you want to believe, not the actual truth, but what you want to believe is the truth. Because so many people turn to social media to reinforce all of the little things that their ego needs to be true, so that they don't have to go through the ego and face the shadow self. Now, this doesn't mean that there isn't good content out there. There are loads of amazing content creators who really help people, like really help people. And so that's a great thing. Social media is a tool, obviously the internet is a tool, but we have to understand how it can be used. We can either use it to reinforce our fragmentation and keep living shame-driven lives of quiet desperation, or we can use it to grow real, to uncover the truth and then live the truth. This doesn't really have anything to do with the video, but I really love these roots in the soil. Not too shabby. So none of this is to say that social media and the internet are completely bad in themselves, just that the algorithms know how to poke our buttons, whether it's done intentionally, which I personally think it is, or just because the algorithms keep giving people what they keep investing their time and engagement in. Either way, we don't need to live like that. It's not real. It's keeping us hypnotized. It's keeping us in emotions we don't need to be in. It stops us growing. I love the internet personally if it wasn't for the internet, my life would kind of suck. I wouldn't be able to do my coaching stuff. I wouldn't be able to talk to a lot of people that I talk to. The internet's awesome if you use it in a real way. But if the algorithm uses you, you're gonna have a bad time. And a lot of people seem to know that, which is why they're making content to wind people up and keep people in their shame. As a general rule, if you're interacting with stuff online and it's either making you angry or it's making you feel shame and feel bad about yourself, then you're being grifted. Odds are you're being grifted. Ask yourself why you've been made to feel that way. Is it real? Is it something that you actually need to worry about? Or has your nervous system been hijacked and you're giving your time and attention, time, energy and attention to places that don't deserve it? Really, that's what it all comes down to. Making a conscious choice. Mastering your own emotions online, which is hardcore mode in many ways, because it's designed to destabilize you, let's say. The best thing to do is to turn it off. Go outside. Interact. I nearly fell down this hill. That could have been the end. Turn it off, or only interact with people where you can have a real conversation. Don't just text people in the DMs. Get on a video call. Have an actual conversation with people. Don't just read shit that's going to wind you up without giving you solutions. Find something to actually do about it, or forget about it. Go live your actual life. That's what it all boils down to. Life is finite. We're all going to die, blah, blah, blah. And so time is actually the most important thing that we have. And if your time has been given to all of this stuff that is getting you nowhere, except making you feel angry and depressed or whatever, then it's time to make a different choice. And that's what this is all about. Not just being a slave to the algorithm, making it work for you, or turning it off and finding better ways, more real ways to engage with the world online. Here's some geese flying away from all that bullshit. At the end of the day, all this stuff that I'm talking about comes down to how you use your time. Time is life, like we just said. When your time runs out, there's no life left. It's really that simple. And so, are you going to use your time in a way that is going to allow you to grow real and to share your life with others in a real way? Or are you going to get distracted by all of this stuff and give your time to things that make literally no difference to your own emotional relationship with yourself, or your own spiritual relationship with yourself, or with anybody else in the world? Picasso said that the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. I really like that, because it taps into that idea that we're all interdependent instead of just reinforcing our egos with all kinds of bullshit. Everything has an opportunity cost though. And so all that time that we spend being rage-bitten or made to feel bad about ourselves when we don't need to is time that we could spend on our purpose, on taking real action, on creating a vision for who we're becoming, breaking it down into goals, and then cultivating habits that are going to support that. One of the reasons that so many people get caught up on this hamster wheel of being rage-bitten or whatever else is because they don't have a purpose. They're bored, and when we're bored and we're living in the void, it's easier to get distracted. So the best way to overcome all this stuff is to figure out your purpose. Figure out what gifts you have to give to the world, and then go out there and do it. When it comes down to it, you're either growing real or you're growing unreal. Unreal means that you're not acting from your own awareness. You don't accept yourself, and you're not taking action that's real. Your nervous system is dysregulated, your emotions are stunted, and you're stuck in them, and there's no flow. And so you end up forcing everything through the ego and just being stuck in the void when you don't need to be. Growing real is the opposite. Instead of moving towards fragmentation, you're moving towards wholeness. You can make choices from your awareness of who you are, what your values are, what your gifts are. You accept all that stuff. You accept your shadow self instead of the ego, and you take action that's aligned. All this rage bait and content that's designed by the algorithm to keep pressing your buttons makes you unreal. And so if you've taken one thing from this video, I hope it's that you know you can make a choice. You don't have to watch that shit. you can spend time growing real and moving towards your purpose instead. So if that helped you, awesome. If you want to talk to me, book a call on my website. I'll give you a free coaching session so you can start moving towards your purpose, vision, goals, and habits. And apart from that, stay real out there. Don't buy into the bullshit and keep flowing. Peace.